God says, the righteous people mentioned by God, such as Noah, Abraham, Job, and Peter, the stories of how they submitted to God and accepted his commissions are what this kind of person particularly yearns for and admires in their heart. They hope that one day they can also have true and absolute submission to God, just like Noah, Abraham, and the others. And they also expect that one day they will be able to gain God's approval and become one of the righteous people God speaks of. They yearn to be a good person, a righteous person. The stories of these righteous people told by God move them deeply, and their heart is often touched and inspired by their stories and by their attitudes toward God. Because they possess the qualities of conscience and reason in their humanity, they are able to take these figures mentioned in God's words as role models and examples to emulate. This is also a sign they have conscience and reason. Oh man, that is very interesting. Because, my situation seems to contradict itself. Like, I seem to be like a walking contradiction because God explains that people with schizophrenia are basically devils, right? They have no conscience, they have no reason, they have no humanity. And here I am with schizophrenia. So, well, I mean, God's words are the truth. So I guess, that makes me a devil. And I have conscience, I have reason, I have humanity. I strive to be like Job. I'm inspired by Abraham's faith to offer up his son. I'm inspired by Noah's obedience to God. For over 100 years, he just did what God asked him to do. I'm inspired by Peter's love for God and submission unto death. And I want to be like those people. I have this conscience and reason. And, I know God's words are true. I just don't understand, like, I guess I've explained it before. I guess I do understand. It's just like so mind boggling because, like, God doesn't explicitly talk about this. I guess he kind of does. And some old words of his, he explains. And let's see if I can find it. 1 second. Okay, I found it. So this is so fascinating, right? So God does talk about this, and I need to like bookmark this. So God's work does not change people's innate conditions; it aims to change their corrupt dispositions. That's item F, and this is Article 1. God's work does not change people's innate conditions. God's work is to transform people's corrupt dispositions and their various fallacious thoughts and views that violate the truth within the scope of their normal humanity so that their conscience and reason can be restored and optimized. In other words, the more you understand the truth, the more normal your conscience and reason will become, and they will also continue to develop in a beneficial direction. This is not supernatural at all. What do I mean by this word, normal? If people have an awareness of conscience and a sense of justice, they will become kind. To put it in the words of man, they will be understanding, upright, reasonable, and not obstinate and prone to distortions. This is the effect that God intends to achieve with respect to people's humanity. As people understand the truth more and more, one incidental effect is that their humanity becomes more and more normal. That is amazing. That is beautiful. So, because, and let me look at those words one more time, because I want to see exactly how God said it. As people understand the truth more and more, one incidental effect is that their humanity becomes more and more normal. Wow. So even though I'm a devil, my humanity has become more normal. I've developed conscience and reason because I've understood the truth. That's incredible. I mean, I like, I don't know if anybody watching this understands like how profound that is. That's incredibly profound. I hope you guys can appreciate that, because that's like, I know I appreciate it deeply in my heart, because it's just so, I'm speechless. Like, I forgot about this passage, and I've had this question, and that relates to another passage. God says, "Do not always pray to and look to the God in heaven, always waiting for God in heaven to give you revelations. If you do this, the God in heaven will ignore you. The God in heaven has said, I am now doing work on earth, making utterances and speaking. You can hear and understand the words I speak, and these words can resolve the problems in your practice and resolve your corrupt dispositions. So what should you do? You cannot always wait for the God in heaven to speak to you personally. You must condescend to come before the incarnate God and come before his words to seek the truth, so that you may gain provision and help. This is called having rationality. This is treating the incarnate God rationally." So I've found that prayer is not as effective as just seeking within God's words. Like, when I look through God's words, I'm able to find truths that answer my questions and explain my situation, explain whether I can obtain salvation or not, right? And though I would not be targeted, like, I wouldn't be a gospel target, I wouldn't be an object of salvation under normal circumstances, because I'm a devil. But because I have understood the truth and have sought the truth and pursued the truth, God has made a special exception for me. And that's because my normal humanity has been restored by God's words, or I guess I never had it to begin with. So I developed a normal humanity through understanding God's words. I developed conscience and reason through understanding God's words. And so I have become an object of salvation, someone God would normally put to the side. But because of my effort in pursuing the truth, God has made me an object of salvation. So I'm very thankful. And this sermon, is happening on the day that I got my injection. So this is like perfect timing. I just got home from getting my injection, and this is really cool. Like, I'm really thankful to know all this and to have all these cross references in God's words. And yeah, that's it. May God's will be done in all of your lives. God bless and goodbye.